Welcome to the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. I'm your host, Simone Morris, and I have a passion for empowering others to take responsibility for their careers. Yes, I've written several books on owning your career and am loving hosting this podcast. This podcast is for you if you're willing to make a shift to the driver's seat in your career. We feature leaders who inspire, empower, and motivate you for consistent career action for results. Please continue to join us every Sunday when a new episode is released. Let's get into this week's show. Hey everybody, it's Simone Morris. How are you doing? I hope fine. This is a Real Talk episode. And I know you haven't heard from me in a while, so I wanted to check in to see how everybody is doing and let you know that I'm fine. I've just been busy working. Running a podcast is a separate career, kind of. There's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes so that you get an episode. My most favorite part of being a podcast host is really interviewing interviewing the leaders who come, and I get to hear about their journey to the driver's seat and their formula for owning their careers. That really is what led me to start the podcast in the first place. For those of you who are new and haven't listened to all of our over 100 episodes, I think it's over 130 to 150 right now, or maybe even more. If you're new, I started the podcast because I had written the book, The Power of Owning Your Career, and I interviewed 14 leaders in that book. And I enjoyed that so much that I didn't want it to end. The book ended, it got out into the world, but I wanted to continue interviewing leaders and sharing their stories. So it's been a journey for me as well to reflect on really continuing to be in the driver's seat for my career. I coach for a living on a full-time basis. So I have coaching clients. By the way, if you're interested in that and having me as a coach, I'm a fabulous coach, by the way. And if you're interested in that, you can go to careerbreakthroughcall.com and really sign up to have a conversation with me to see if we would be a good fit in a coaching scenario, coaching relationship situation. But anyway, many people are struggling with the driver's seat. And here's what I think happens. I think stuff happens. Like, think about it. COVID happened. Who is ready for that? That's a big hit to career because you had to think about how to show up differently. You had to deal with a virtual delivery of your brand, your career brand. You had to, whether you had to work remotely or you're continuing to work remotely or work in a hybrid situation, building relationships, it takes longer virtually. You have to really make sure that you have the right exposure still. So there's a lot to contend with that situation, and that's one situation of COVID. But think about it, there are other situations that crop up, whether it is change in the organization. So an organization can have a lot of restructuring, and that means chaos or turbulence for you, where you think that you're securely in the driver's seat and you are now just moving about topsy-turvy and not feeling your feet on the ground and like you're in the position of the driver's seat with your hand on the wheel. And so that can be daunting. And many of my clients, they're challenged with retaining the driver's seat. So I work with them to help them stabilize, help them be confident in how they show up and how they deliver. And so I just want to share that with you because I know that is something that many of us contend with, me included. So I need proper guidance to ensure that I show up as my best self. I do a lot of reflection, and that's a good thing to do, is to really allow yourself space to reflect. That could look like reflection with a coach to really unpack what's happening in your career, or that could look like a conversation with a therapist to deal with baggage that you're processing and dealing with, like things that happen in the workplace, slights where somebody disregards what you say or overlooks you for opportunity, or a situation with your manager that's not working in the way you want it to work. So there's a lot that is in fact going on that we have to contend with. But what's important, and I do want to share with you, is to really know that you deserve to be in the driver's seat. I recently spoke to an audience on International Women's Day, and I wanted to make sure that people got the message clearly that you choose to be in the driver's seat. Sometimes we forget that we have a choice about our careers. We have a choice about the people that we work for, the people that we work with. You have a choice. So if things are not to your liking, do some reflection on what you need to do to get to a place where you really feel like you are liking and enjoying the work that you're doing, or the impact that you're making. Have some thinking about that. I really want to give you some space or permission. If you need permission, there's another thing. Sometimes we think we need permission from someone else to thrive. And so we may be in a place of surviving, and we need permission from other people to really, okay, I deserve to thrive. It's time for me to take steps to ensure that I'm thriving in my career. And so I want to encourage you and perhaps give you permission, if you need permission, to really thrive in your career. The first step is really, as I always say with my 8-step framework for owning your career, the first thing is to really claim it and repeat after me, do an affirmation. I deserve to be in control of my career. I deserve to own my career. I deserve to be in the driver's seat for my career. I deserve to be happy with the outcomes in my career. That's something that you own, and you can say that to yourself every day, at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, until you believe it. If you don't believe it, you deserve to be happy with your career results. And so I want to encourage you to claim to be in the driver's seat. And I want to also encourage you to think about doing an audit. What is happening in my career? Am I happy with it? Am I in the middle of the road, neutral? Am I not happy? And then what do I need to do to get to a place where I really feel good about where I am on my career journey? And by the way, you can temporarily feel not good about where you are on your career journey. The key is to not stay in the muck, but to really feel the experience and decide what your actions are to move forward for what's next in your career. So these are some of the things I talk about in my book, 52 Tips for Owning Your Career. That's still out there and available. Anybody who is looking to support the podcast and support me can pick up the book. It's on Amazon and other places that you shop. If you want an autographed copy, you can go to 52tipsforowningyourcareer.com, and we can ship that out to you, and I can put a nice message in there for you. Anyway, I hope this week you are thinking hard about your career, and that you are making space on your calendar for your career. That's another important thing. Your calendar can be jammed up where there is absolutely no time to think. And my clients tell me that, well, they don't tell me, I point out to them, I reflect back to them, you don't have any time to think. You need to think about what you want in your career and not let other people tell you what you want in your career. So check out your career. This is one action you can take. You can check out your calendar and look for where you have given yourself time to think. And also, it's very important to hold the boundary. Let me repeat that. It's very important to hold the boundary for your career, because you can have time on your calendar and then you can easily move it to accommodate other people because you're a people pleaser. I know I said it. So anyway, if you're making yourself your last priority this week, I want you to find some time on your calendar. And if you want to start with 15 minutes, 30 minutes, but it's time for you to think. And if you don't know what to think, just kind of meditate. You could use Calm. You could use the Fitbit app. You could use Headspace. I just want you to have time for no noise and to just think about your career. And I would encourage you to grab a notepad, a journal, answer the question, what do I want in my career? Between now and the end of this year, what do I want in my career? What experiences do I want to have? Who do I want to meet? Who do I want to help? Let's stop there. Let's do those three. Those three questions, take as much time as you need and answer those questions. If you feel inclined, feel free to reach out to me. You can get to me by going to connectwithsimone.com. There are many ways to get to me from that site, social media, the website, even email. So I'll point you to connectwithsimone.com. It's easy to remember. And you can reach out to me and let me know what the experience was like for you. I would love to hear how it went. I want to remind you too that this particular season of the podcast, we are doing 10 episodes. So it's a shorter season because we are celebrating season 10. I'm so excited that we've made it to season 10 because quite honestly, sometimes work priorities can get in the way and life priorities can get in the way, but we make it happen and we have made it to season 10. Let's see what's coming next for the podcast. I'm still enjoying talking to people, talking to leaders and hearing their stories and bringing their stories to you. I'd like to share more internationally. So let's see what happens with that. We've got some good episodes though. So, I want you to go and dig through the archives and see what we have available. Check the podcast out. You can go to my website and find out about the podcast. We'll put a link in the show notes as well, so that you have a way to get to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. But, if you don't know what to do in your career or you don't know what to do to change your career, we've got books. I've got books. I've got at least 4 books that I've written solo, but there's other collaborations that I've participated in. But there's also free episodes for you to start where you can go through the content and make some notes. You don't have to do everything everybody says, but you certainly can start reading books. Our guests give you a lot of books. Actually, in the 52 Tips for Owning Your Career, there's a chapter on advice from people on the podcast. So that can steer you as well. The point is, your career is a priority. And it's going to be a priority if you make it a priority. By the way, if you are already shining and winning and you're listening to the podcast, thank you. Share what you're doing to thrive in your career. We want to hear it. Our listeners want to hear it. And we appreciate the support and the share with everyone. So please feel free to go ahead and share that. Tag us on social media as well. We like to use the hashtag Own Your Career or hashtag driver's seat, or, just tag me as well. Hashtag Simone Morris. Interested in hearing what you're learning and what your takeaway is. So be sure to do that. And also, if you have guests that you think would be great or who are crushing it in their careers and you feel like you want to hear me interview them, please let us know that as well. I would appreciate that as we compile a list for the next season. That would be great. But anyway, I just wanted to check in so that you could hear my voice, know that I'm still around working behind the scenes, and wanting to connect with you as always, and thanking you for being a loyal listener, subscriber, sharer, reviewer, whatever it is you're doing. I appreciate you and your continued support. So thanks for listening to this week's Real Talk with yours truly. If you want to send me career questions for me to answer, I'm happy to do that as well on the podcast. So feel free to send in questions that you have for me that I can answer. I'm happy to do that on another Real Talk. That's it for now. Have a great day. And again, thanks so much for listening to the podcast. And be sure to grab my new book, 52 Tips for Owning Your Career, available at 52tipsforowningyourcareer.com as well as on Amazon. Have a great day, everybody, and thanks so much for listening.
I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this week's Empowering Career Story on the podcast. If you did, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Wherever you listen to the podcast, be sure that you are subscribing and that you rate and review the podcast. It's so important as we continue to spread the word of career empowerment. In addition, you can head over to the LinkedIn platform and join the Power of Owning Your Career discussion group. There you can have access to the guests who have been on the podcast, as well as others listening to the podcast, as well as myself, where we can continue the conversation. I hope to see you on that platform. You can also email me at pooyc@simonemorris.com if you have a suggestion for guest or a message that you want me to hear personally. Thanks so much, and make it an inspiring, empowering week in your career.